over all the warrant articles and she will present. But we do have, we have to wait for Karen to get here for Judy. Judy is here in response to our request to go over her part of the budget. Hopefully we remember what we're going to ask you.
One question I
That's okay.
was, to kind of walk us through our comfort level in terms of how we, that election is verifying.
Oh, and so that could happen now.
Yeah.
So Judy, if you want to, do you want to sit there?
I want to stay on the
stand.
They're coming to the bullpen.
Yeah. And then we'll hear from Peter, and then by that time, Karen should be here. Peter is representing the Chamber of Commerce, and going over, I had sent you out the revision of the warrant article. It's not so much revised in monetary, but it just reminds us of what is included in that warrant article. So right now, we'll turn our attention to Judy. Welcome.
Thank you. So I'm not sure what you're looking for.
Well, let's see. I'll let Steve frame the question.
Well, just based on, the national stuff that went on, the Galaxy election, or whatever, will you walk us through, you guys have this group, awesome, large people, how we conduct elections and our confidence level and how we ascertain. I mean, I know initially we had an issue with our voting machine for a period of time, we would bring it back up or whatever, but we have a plan for doing that.
We had an issue with not with our voting machine, but with the memory card that goes in the machine. We get 2 memory cards each time, in case something happens to one. And it just stopped working. And what happens is when we get those memory cards, we put the ballots, sample ballots through each memory card to make sure that they're working properly and the machine's working properly. We put them through, we put 50 cards through 4 different ways for each card. We put it through 200 times, 200 ballots run through it, and we check those numbers to our physical numbers that we take looking at the ballots.
Dummy ballots?
So, they're called test ballots, yes.
Ahead of
Yeah. Yes, we did ahead of time. And we did it with both of the cards. So the first card is just there if we should need it. The last card we used and tested was our regular card. And it went through fine. But we had put in approximately 200 ballots on election day, and it stopped working. So I went and got the other card. I called before I did that to Secretary of State's office on my phone, to the company, so we get the cards from, and we get ballots. And they had another time for that, Londonderry, same thing happened here as well. So they had us take the ballots out that had gone into the machine, and we took the card out and we put the new card in, ran another 0 tape to make sure that it was a 0 starting from fresh. So then the ballots were taken and put back through the machine with the new chip. So that new chip, or memory card, I should say, counted all those ballots. We had enough people to see that all the ballots were taken out of the ballot box to be put through. So that's what occurred. It wasn't the machine itself. And we had just had the machine tested because we had an issue with the machine in September that was a problem. And it wasn't, if I put in a write-in, it swings it into another box underneath, and those are all taken out and are all counted at the end of the night, separately. It'll count everything that's on there except for the write-ins, and then we have to count the write-ins. What happened is, it didn't work. The flapper in there did not work. So I had them come and redo it. They had to put a new motor in the machine. So we had all that calibrated and ready to go for the general election in November. So the machine was up to par. And then, of course, we had that partnership. So we got that taken care of, and then everyone was able to use that through the day.
One of the big problems is there's so much better, absentee ballots. So how many absentee ballots do we normally send out?
Normally, between 200, normally about 200.
And those people have to come in and request those.
We can mail them out to them. We can mail out, if you have a child that's in California in school, and they contact us, whether by email, fax, or probably us on the phone, then we can send, if they're not a registered voter, state of New Hampshire gives us the authority to send them all the applications they need, because they're temporarily not here, and the actual ballot itself, so that it gets back here in a timely fashion, so that we're not waiting for it to come back and then sending the ballot out to them, because, you always have somebody that's 2 weeks away from the election and they're not in California, you want to make sure those ballots get to them and they get it to schools. But in September, our absentee ballot count went to 300. And that was a surprise. We expected close to 1,000 in November, and we were just about 900. We had 866 actually come back that were counted. So, and I say that because if someone sends a ballot back and they don't put the affidavit envelope they were sent in with it, the law says you must have that affidavit with the ballot. So if you slit it and that, you can see there's just a ballot in there, there's no paperwork in it, you just, what I do is I staple them back up and the written spoil them. And we have to let the state know how many of those and who they were that happened. So we had about 900, and there was a CARES Act grant that went out to all the towns. And we just found out, the number off the top of my head is we get about $7,500 from the CARES Act grant to help with funds of the, the postage and the extra worker and so on and so forth. We just received that last week.
So, just sound very good. So those 900 people, those requested ballots, they requested ballots from how? All of them in?
Calling them in, faxing in the information, emailing the information, walking in the office together.
So you hand them out or send them out?
Correct.
Okay. Somehow you report who's
Yes, we have a list of oaths that have been sent out.
And then you go to the voting checklist and check off on that.
That is correct.
So they're kind of taking off the whole of that voting takers.
That's shown, yeah, there are absentee voters shown on there. We had a couple that came in and handed me their absentee ballots, and because they wanted to vote there that day, which was fine. So I wrote right on it, voting in person, those ballots never get opened, and they went through the checkmark. Had they come in after we had processed their absentee ballot, they would have been stopped at the checklist table, because the checklist table would have a red A/B and pen that can't be erased right beside the name, saying, sorry, you've already voted absentee. So.
But if they come in with their absentee ballot and they haven't been counted, you would actually then give them a blot out for that day.
Correct.
And not use theirs.
Correct.
And then maybe the last question, is there a signature verification process?
There is. When we always, all the ballots come back to the town clerk's office. So we pull off the application that they filled out, and we look at it. We put that with the ballot, and on election day, what happens is when the affidavit envelope with the ballot in it comes out of the outside envelope, we look at the signature, give the signature on the application. Now, somebody might have, something might have happened. Someone might have signed their application, no problem, and something happened, they had a stroke. Okay? And so somebody else might have, there's a place on the affidavit envelope for someone else to sign, being they help that person. So if we have any questions like that, that goes directly to the moderator. For him to check it, to verify it. And-
So Daryl would actually be looking at it.
Yes.
Whether he has a comfort level with it.
Yes. Mhm.
His comfort
He
level
makes
was
that, you know, we all work on that together as, you know, I might know someone got hurt somewhere, or someone else might know that something happened, so the goal is to get that voter status through. So, and we don't have any issues with anything like that. But, the state of New Hampshire is very good at, making sure information is right there, and they want to make sure that we really look at those signatures and don't just say, nope, that person can't possibly be the person that did that. I had one that signed her application, and she brought the ballot back to me, and she printed her name on paper. But she brought it back to me. She brought it back in the office. I was fortunate on that one, I guess. And she didn't have it in the envelope. Because the instructions are very difficult sometimes for people to understand. And, you know, it's the law, that's how it's written out. But she wasn't sure, so I told her we had to put her ballot in, and which things to sign, and to sign the outside envelope. So I knew that it was her ballot. So that took care of that issue.
A very lucky small town.
Right.
That happens everywhere.
Any other questions for Judy? We appreciate you coming. It's very interesting. Thank you for that. Any questions?
Judy, what are the biggest, let's say the largest two or largest three causes of ballots?
I'm sorry, I did not catch all that. I apologize.
So what are the three perhaps largest causes of ballots that are ruled invalid?
Not having the affidavit in the envelope. That's the biggest one. Let me think what else. Having the affidavit envelope in there, not having it signed anywhere on the affidavit envelope. Third one, not having the right ballot in there.
School and.
Someone using a ballot from another election. I had the September primary. I had one, they put the September primary ballot. They never voted, I put it in. It gets very difficult for a lot of people that are getting older and if they don't have someone to help them, they all can have someone to help them. I feel really bad when we have people that, I'd rather have them come in the office, and we certainly aren't gonna stand over them voting, but I'd rather have them there so that we can be able to, help them get all the right information. But it's usually something missing, either off the envelope, missing envelopes.
Right on the envelope though, there is a spot that says for assistance. It's like if someone needs to assist the voters, and so it verifies who's assisting them.
We got an awful lot of calls about them. We used to, I don't even think, voters, but we used to be on channel 2, and I would sit there with the ballot machine and say, this is how you put your ballot through, this is how you mark your ballot, go on a circle around it, mark the ballot. And we would explain what you did with your absentee ballot. And I think that helped a lot of people. You need to find an avenue to be able to get that information. That people.
It is kind of confusing, and I've been through it every year for the last 7 years because I wrote absentee March vote. And I have the school and I have the town and my husband has his, I have to fill it all out. I always fear we're going to miss something. So it would, having that on the website would be really, really good.
Yeah, I think we're going to work on something like that for March.
When I was checking out with your dad, the person behind me, before I walked off, took their ballot in and kept picking the ballot back out. And your father said, go over and go. What was that like? They voted for 2 candidates in their line or something like that?
That could be, it could be that they put X's on it, and when you X something, you could get just on the very corner, and may or may not count it. That's why it's the old is supposed to be counted. Sometimes people only vote on, well, that was the case because we only had one side for that ballot. Sometimes it's been two-sided, if one side is voted on. What it does is it checks. It doesn't count it the first time, it checks it again and runs down through to make sure it doesn't miss something. It's usually what it is.
Well, I think we have to, that was very informative. I'm sure you gave us a lot more information. It's very interesting.
Thank you.
Thank you for all your, that you do.
Well, it sounds like we're doing whatever we can to make sure that people have confidence.
I'm very concerned, I'll tell you all of this. For March, we do not know what's going to happen with the absentee ballots. You asked the question about, how many absentee ballots do we usually have? And, I look at 200 usually for the town, and we had 900 at the general election. And the worst case is to throw ballots away after the March election. And at this point, I've got no clue.
Throwaways and not used,
Well, that's,
getting enough ahead of time and then not having that level of request.
and if you don't have enough, what happens is, I would have to make paper copies and sign them all, which is not a problem, except in the night, we have to have people that come in. So it's a long time process with towns.
So usually it's pretty predictable. 200 to 900 would be a good goal.
Took a while to put those through the machine.
Yes,
It does.
so we'll see what happens.
Well, thank you,
And
Judy.
thank you all very much, thank you for your service.
Good, how many people voted
How many people voted?
in the general just out?
3,176, I believe.
That's close enough.
All time high?
So, okay.
By a lot.
How many registered voters do we have?
You're gonna ask me that. I can't do that as well. I'm just gonna bring that really much game, and I apologize, Dan, but I just cannot remember.
Send it to Ken.
Just 39. Was that, that was through? Three.
31, 76.
Do you remember how many people voted in March? Approximately, was it about like 1,300 of them?
Remember the year the sales show was 700, that's about all I can remember. Don't forget, we had a presidential primary in January, then we had the March election, then we had the September primary, so I'm sorry, those numbers just, I'm more than happy to get that information.
Would you put the
And you
interest
can
in
really everything out, but I just, I can't tell you that.
Just curious.
You may be right on, I just don't remember.
Has there been any word yet, Judy, as far as the deliberative session and setup on Zoom?
I have heard nothing. And, the first of the year, I'm gonna contact Secretary of State's office to find out what are they recommending the towns to do for the elections. I mean, we need to have some guidance, you know, are they just, they could drop the ball and say, whatever you wanna do. They very well could. I hope that doesn't matter.
We might be back in the gym.
What's that?
We might be back in the gym, more space.
Yeah.
Well, I saw on the paper, I can't remember which town, but they moved their town meeting to May.
I was in Vermont.
It was in Vermont.
Yeah.
They're optimistic.
Yeah.
No, they have a problem with school funding too. They don't really know what they're doing.
We probably should do
It depends on what's on the school side, what's on the town side, it's really jumping out people.
that. With, is there a coordination, because it's kind of unusual times right now, in the school? Are you reaching out to the school as well for how this is going to be handled? I know everyone votes at the same spot, but to get some of their input or just to notify them, you would be.
Yeah, I can contact you, and quite often, I haven't spoken to you yet, to get things settled down for the first of the year. And then see what we can do from there.
Thank you.
Judy, it's very important to trust elections. I compliment you because you've engendered a lot of confidence in the process.
Okay, goodness.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll be in touch with that. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, I hope I got it all.
All right, so we have Peter Cooper, who's representing the Chamber of Commerce. Judy knows this, she's been here before, that if people would like to go around the table and introduce themselves to Peter, because I don't think you know everyone around the table. So, John, you want to start?
I'm John Schultz.
See how that is.
Peter, I'm John Cooper. I have 2 years of planning in the school. Played the band, all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Just moved back.
Dean Stearns.
Ryan Cummings. Okay.
And out there.
And Peter sent us, or I sent you all the email that he sent me. Information, do you have handouts? Oh, that's perfect.
Just maybe overkill for the amount of money there, for the fact that we're looking for level funding. I heard from several folks that, the process for the public service warrant article has been simplified as long as the number is the same as, the year before. Take the mask off, so you can hear it, that's back here. So, so we're looking for the same amount as last year, 14,160. 76 block pumps of 80 hours. We're going to get the same open here in Littleton. They're on Main Street and Mill Street and Saranac Street. That's why we get to 76. So there's quite a lot more than there were a few years ago.
Which will go to center stage.
Put new street lights on Mill Street and Saranac. That's fine. Watering, same as last year, Georgia works. Climate change and pretty well figured out how to do it efficiently. And 15 weeks is from just after Memorial Day through mid-September. Pick the weekend where the Lions Club went, their art show, and have the art festival the same weekend. We wanted to go a couple more weeks to Columbus launch weekend like we did this year. The clouds get a little bit tired. But I know Chad Stearns helped me take the time, and he heard from some of the merchants on Main Street that leave them up just through the weekend. So we could spend another $49 for 2 more weeks if we wanted to, depending on how they look. Open nursery really isn't expecting to last that long. They probably will start looking at and then the difference is we don't think we have any growth in flower pots, but if they do, $20 each for replacing them. And the lighted spheres that we put up that are up now for the Christmas decorations are sort of a mixture. If you look at them closely, there's some big ones that are 30 inches in diameter, really quite nice. And there's some smaller ones that are less expensive that were bought in a hurry a couple years ago. And then down on Saranac Street, they have a third 24-inch round ones, and some half of those are working, half of them aren't. So it's a mixed bag of hardware we have in there. It'd be nice to buy all 30-inch spheres. They cost almost $20 each. And so we could spend our whole $1,600 there on the 8 of them. We could pretty much get Main Street with the same size, better quality spheres, and we would put the others down on the lower streets as we could. And that's keep upgrading the fleet, if you will, in future years. It would be good. I would feel better if we had them all working and all the same size. A lot of light folks tell me actually that some of the outlets that are up there on poles aren't working to net. So you'll usually these things done over the summer by the town to get them all working. Also, some of the street lights down on Mill Street, on the earlier project Mill Street, they didn't value that on the pole, so we can't put the spheres there. If they are, they're not lit. So there's about 4 or 5 poles down there. But everybody knows about that, so he can't have what his budget was for, but he might be adding those outlets, those poles. So it's a little bit of maybe I have to go along as we can. But the other things that are not included in that have been either last year we had only a beautification article, not the event article. So money that did go through the chamber for the Christmas parade and the jack-o'-lanterns. It's not going through Sweeney has been, a couple years ago, Dan Sweeney was in there, and following a gate with my brother's, $2,000 worth of money to steers was in there. And he's, so, just thought it would be helpful for you to know, what's in the number. The language will be exactly the same as last year, with the 4,160 number in the article, but that's what's in that, and, but also that's what's not in there, this year. So, any questions?
When the flowers are watered, do they put Miracle Grow or something in with it? Because they're just amazing. How do they maintain that?
Luster.
Yeah, they do a great.
Luster?
Wow.
Luster? You got me.
No problem. Enhanced spirits.
I have to admit, I don't know. George did a good job, and what if he actually substitutes with water. Yeah, they're I'll tell you, they're heavy coming down at the end of the season. They're heavy, especially if there's rain.
Here, one of the things that in the past years that we have been concerned with, and I think it was partly the reason why some of these other items weren't asked for last year, is that when this money goes into the Chamber of Commerce coffers, so to speak, that it doesn't, it's delineated so it doesn't go into the general fund. And so that you have these monies, if you don't use them all out each year, then they would carry over to the next year. I don't know if you're aware of that. We did talk to the director last year about that, so.
As I might prepare, I asked the treasurer to research books, see if he can find out where money and how it's spent, et cetera.
Wasn't that a concern last year? That it was. I'm not asking you to do that, maybe not for us necessarily, but for yourself. And also to, when we vote on this would be, we would hope that that would happen going forward, that it does not go, if you don't use all the monies, it does not go into the general fund, but it carries over to the next year for some of these items. We're hoping that it helps you with these other items that sometimes you can't ask for.
That's why I put some of them in it, so that they didn't see $1,630 are several things. If we have money left over, that's, we sent them all on like skiers, but last year we did a couple of weeks of watering for 85 ox or something, so there's some possibility in that number. The other two numbers are pretty hard, because we have an actual quote from Old Universities, and we have the estimate, we have last year's records, and we have the estimate for this year. So those are numbers, actual invoices that we have, not some numbers.
And I think the other thing is, we would ask, normally, we ask others how COVID affected some of these things, but it looks like what is handled in the warrant articles did occur this year. The flowers did occur, the holiday decorations did go on, the watering occurred, all of those things. So, did COVID, I mean, obviously it the jack-o'-lanterns didn't go out this year, right? But that's not part of this warrant article.
And in fact, the warrant article, which included events, which was for the Christmas parade and the jack-o'-lanterns, was a separate warrant article in 2019. And in 2020, in fact, that warrant article was not there. Don't know what happened to the money from 2 years
Is
ago.
that because of the general, the money's going to be this year, or
They took off the money from 2019. It was all drawn down
2019, but I don't know exactly what they did with all of it. I know that they gave us a report of what we did with all the money. So they did draw money down in 2019. We never see a warrant article for the faculty meetings in 2020. We only had one warrant article.
Right.
So,
That is for beautification.
Yeah.
Non-defense.
so Karen, petition warrant articles, the final date for petition warrant articles is when?
I am told, and I wrote down, that it is January 12th by 4 p.m.
And do you have to have any petitioners' signatures on that?
You're gonna have 25 if you're gonna submit a petition. But the selectmen voted that those groups that submitted last year and were approved did not have to submit a petition warrant article if they were okay with being grouped as one big warrant article together, all agencies. And if they were asking for no more money. Because we're trying to reduce our warrant articles. Last year it was over 50. We're hoping that this year it will be right around 32 warrant articles. Because it costs money every time we add a warrant article and continue on pages of the ballot. So we were hoping to reduce some of that.
I thought too also, it reduces the voters' time walking around getting signatures as well.
That's, because of COVID, that was the solution, but you still can submit a petition.
The reason why I was asking, I didn't know if, there was gonna be discussion on an event warrant article. So I just wanted to verify the times and the process.
Is there a format that you expect for us to use?
Just the same as you've been using,
So it looks like a petition.
nautical lines and addresses, printed name, address, and signature.
But you don't need the signatures this year. It's the same.
You don't, if you want to be part of that group warrant article. If you want to be an individual warrant article, and maybe asking for more or less than what you asked for last year.
Well, we sort of decided that given the financial situation, there wasn't much chance of asking for more. Better to cut the scope back down to what we can afford this year rather than, it would be nice to buy all new 30-inch lighted stairs for another $6,000-7,000, but you don't actually need to do that. So decided it's probably better to wait until later times.
Any questions?
Well, just a comment, at the deliberative session, we can pull out each, warrant up to January. So,
We're up for discussion, so
So usually there's a representative at the deliberative session for any petition warrant article. And if this year the process is they're gonna be bunched together on the ballot, and at the deliberative session, you could speak to it if or so ask a question about it. But we do like to have representation there just in case. Just in case.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you, Peter. Appreciate it. Thank you, Peter. All right, Karen.
I apologize for not having minutes yet. We're ready up to the time.
That's fine.
So, Steve, you are correct. The Hampshire retirement system did change halfway through the year.
Halfway through this coming.
Yes, halfway through this coming year. And I did calculations, which I just sent around. review of what that cost means. All right. Yes, it hits pretty hard.
Although we didn't go up as much as the
Schools.
schools. But the thing that bothers me on these rates is that at a time when the stock market is at all-time high, and the retirement system is bringing money from the investments, if they're faced with this kind of increase now, that is obviously not a good sign.
No, it's not.
It would be one thing if we were back on a downturn or something, and the stock market was reaching yeah, I'd like to think the stock market is better in the future than it is today.
Steve, did you follow up with your NSC on that?
I did, and she recognized it, and it isn't, she also said something about that when they, their projection into the future is that they're even looking out further to try to justify their numbers, which is not a good sign. No, it isn't good. I mean, we've been told for years that on the national level, that something like 38 of the 50 state retirement funds are significantly underwater, which we are one. And we know that we're adjusting rates every 2 years, try to just get 2 years down the road. So she recognizes that it's not a good situation. The same thing, what I'm saying, probably not sustainable.
The rate goes into effect July 1st, 2021, and I apologize for having 2020 there. The current rates you see on the left-hand side, down at the end of your page, the effective rate, July 1st, for each one of the groups, is there for police, fire, and other employees. Other employees include public works, transfer station, parks and rec, admin office, the police department, and library force. Only full-time staff, those are individuals that are working 35 hours a week or more on a regular basis. So when I calculated the number for the budget for the half year, I have an in-between number of 31.16 for police, fire's 31.54, and other employees is 12.62. And then I broke it down by department, and you have your total impact to the proposed budget, and then a total impact to the default.
Interesting.
So, and I really am sorry for missing this. It's telling me that I've got too much going on, and it's time for me to log it out.
John, you had a question?
First of all, those percentages, what did you just say? Those are percent of these salary, is that what?
Percentage of their wages, including overtime. It does not include if they, for example, take a leave time reduction, or they're paid a hazard stipend. We do not charge for it, it's not charged on those, or if they take a health insurance buyout, they do not have retirement calculated on that. So those are a few items that we would not.
So the next question is, does the state retirement fund have a goal, a percentage funded, or is it mandated or is it anything on that date where so much has to be funded, otherwise it's in arrears, it's like that. And I didn't see stock market comments too.
There is a committee that is watching the retirement system and watching where they're at, and if they're not meeting their goals, certain things have to happen. increases, but also decreases of the interest share that the retiree might get on their funds. A couple of years ago, there was 9% paid for interest on the funds of the retirement system. Now it's right around 5.5–6%.
Do you know what level we have to fund to see?
No, I do not have the answer for that, but I'll give the answer.
Interesting.
Karen, there was, on the town, on the school side, I said there was no change in the police contribution. Is that the same?
That's the same for us here.
Well, it goes back to who's sitting on the committees. And, it has been an issue for a long time that the committees down in Concord include a lot of the representatives of these unions. Of course, I mean, because you were asking about the employee side, and because we rarely see an increase on the employee side. That's information.
I mean, if you look at these numbers, also, we have not, I think the last time here, maybe it was 2 years ago, I think it was actually a very slight decrease.
Yes,
That was a fraction of a percent, I think it broke it down, is why it went down so little, why didn't it bother going down at all?
right.
Especially given the fact that we knew the system was challenged, and it was a hoping gesture or assumption of that. At least in hindsight, doing more why. But obviously, you can see this, if that happened, this kind of change happened, you know, in 2 years, you know, for, you know, over the next 10 years, it'd be 50 cents on the dollar.
Just a question about the timing of calculations, because the stock market really took off this fall. When you think about it. It was low, I think it was lowest in March. And so if this was calculated based on September, it might not reflect all the gains we had this fall. I'm just curious about the timing of the calculation.
Probably done between July and September.
Yeah.
I know there, the state year runs differently than what the calendar year does. So they're not basing their budget on an annual calendar year.
That'd be an awful good question to ask our representatives.
I always look at the process and the meetings that we have in a budget season, and we always seem to run out of time. But we have some good questions like that, because otherwise we're just sitting here not really issuing any concerns much higher than ourselves, you know what I'm saying? We really need to be talking to the state officials, to our representatives, and the thought just popped into my head. We were supposed to have a meeting every, 4 meetings a year jointly. And that would really be a good meeting to have the school representatives, the town representatives, and the budget committee sitting down and talking with state officials and jointly asking these questions. So we can understand. I think that's an idea that we should really pursue.
We make those meetings very productive and very interesting.
Yeah. So do we want to pursue something like that?
You don't want to do that with a guest speaker.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I mean. We would invite them, we would have an agenda, we would invite some of the officials down, and we'd probably have a collaborative effort on how we wanted to structure it, and who we wanted to talk to, and who we'd invite, and then go forward with asking them the question that we have. Because otherwise, we're just kind of sitting there.
If you look at that, like a year or so ago, when we had the same sushi game, that was very informative, obviously, both of those.
So maybe before we end our budget season, we can appoint some representatives, meet with some town representatives and school representatives, and come up with, you know, who we want to talk to, and how we would do it, and perhaps when we would do it. Maybe that would be a good kickoff in the fall, before we really get started, you know, into the budget season again. In the summer and in the spring, you know, all of us are thinking other things at that time, but if we did this in the early fall, I think that would be a really good conversation to have. I'm for it anyways. Is there a consensus here?
I think if you were able to do it, Representative Tim, we can, spoke at our last, meeting last night.
Right.
But it was more just an update as far as what's going on with the board and things like that, we should.
Yes.
Who spoke here?
Representative Tim Egan, even though he doesn't necessarily represent Littleton, a lot of his constituents work in Littleton. So he wanted to update us on some of the initiatives he's involved
He actually represents.
in. It's Franconia, Sugar Hill, Easton, and I think another county, is it?
Yes, it's
Yeah.
So anyways, I think that would be a good conversation to have. All right, Karen, we're ready for the next good news.
I do have budget printouts again with the new retirement numbers in them. And an estimated revenue number. We don't have to go over them because the numbers are on here, and we can start looking at these numbers.
Do you want to have those handed out and we can have them for the next meeting, but we'll start going over it?
Yep. Sure. You need one.
You need one for Mike.
Yes, I do.
One for you and one for
Good. You already see. That's it.
Oh my goodness. I work there Hey, Steve, I'm gonna give these to you, and I'm gonna tell Mike to stop at Tampa. I think that's easier.
So this is just a handout, just so you have the updated. I did work with Andrew just before I left the office. Just before I was talking to you. And he told me the assessing is dropping. So there will be savings, I think it's $18,000 in the year in assessing. The page on that.
Yeah, page 10.
Yes, yes, actually, it's gonna drop by 14,000.
14.
Yeah. So that number will be changed. And he has said to me that if you have any recommendations, he'd love to hear feedback, on areas that you feel we can, reduce or look at, consider if you're looking at other things. The total warrant articles on this big sheet. The first yellow line gives you the default budget plus all the warrant article numbers that we have at this point. That includes the agency warrant article numbers. It's 11,998,329 with estimated offsetting revenues of 8,685,27, leaving the adjusted request from taxpayers 3,313,302, meaning a $5 and roughly 17 cents on tax rate. The current tax rate for 2020, if you look at your second page in, it's actually the one line up. 2020 actual town tax rate was 5.5. So if all of the numbers stay the same with the default budget and the rest of the warrant articles, and there's no additional petition warrant articles, there's actually an estimated reduction of 8 cents or close to 8 cents on the tax rate. The selectmen gave us a goal at one of our recent town selectmen meetings of keeping the budget and all warrant articles at $11,599,909 with offsetting revenues of at least $8,283,469. That was what our goal was during the slide. The proposed budget, which is the second yellow line and all the warrant articles, currently is $12,308,602. The offsetting revenues is $8,922,123. The adjusted requested is $3,458,479, meaning a tax impact of $5.398, which is the difference of 23 cents between the proposed and the default. This, let's see, a difference from from 2020's tax rate to the estimated proposed budget with all warrant articles, the difference is almost 15 cents per thousand. Now, there are some areas that the numbers may be changing, besides, of course, proposed budget, if you make some recommendations and with that small adjustment that we're looking at. These green lines are numbers that can be moved, adjusted, if not. And these are just proposals. The article number 5 is the bond warrant article. I only left that in here in case something comes up between now and the time that we go to the public hearing. At this point, there is no expected bond. A bond or a loan is normally something that is over $100,000. That's going to be financed for a long period. The line number 10 on here, warrant article 10, as of right now, is a public works lease or purchase. Could be a bond article if you wanted. It's for a sweeper and a 350 replacement. They have decided to take the 10-wheeler off the table. They want to see how they run for a while. They want to see how they last, how they operate within the department before they move forward on the 10-wheeler. So they have decided to remove that. So we're expecting possibly a lease agreement for 3 years of $150,000.
What is it?
Over 3 years. So, well, the $150,000 per year for 3 years, because the sweeper runs about $250, I think is what they're estimating. The total that they were looking at leasing is $337,000. So that's what they were looking at leasing over a period of 2 years. So we broke it down, we're gonna have some interest on that as well. There is an equipment lease, because it's a lease, we have to now put it on as a warrant article every year, even though we include it in the budget. So the ambulance 5-year lease payment, second year. And this, the first year actually on the 2 10-wheelers that we got in the backhoe that was approved in the 2020 warrant articles, the payment estimate is $432,754. We haven't offset funds because we included it in the budget of $432,754. Now, if this does not get approved, those vehicles go back. They either go back to the leasing company or go back to the bank, wherever we leased it from.
So that $432,000 is already operating
It's
budget.
already in the operating budget.
Okay.
But we have to get approval to make the payment on it from the voters.
And so if it fails, the warrant article fails, we still have $432,000, and the operating budget passes, we still have the $432,000 in the
The
budget.
operating budget or the depot, yes. It could be written as removing that from the budget. Or it may just say that if it is voted no, that's how much is going to come on the budget.
It's in the budget as an expense, and it's also in the budget as,
It's in the budget as an expense.
and is it also in the budget at the?
It's in the warrant article totals a second time, but there's an offsetting revenue because it's in the budget. There's no additional cost to the taxpayers. It's included in the budget.
It's in the budget, it's in the budget both as expense and on the. Yes.
No, not in the budget, that's an income.
It's not in the 8,341,000.
It's only in the budget as an expense, but in order to show it on here as no additional impact to taxpayers, I have to show it as an offsetting revenue. It's already included in the budget. I just have to put it out there as a vote to the voters. And I may put it in as $0 because it's included in the budget. We have to spell it out correctly to the taxpayers.
Okay, so the offsetting funds, if you would, they're listed, 432,754.
It's money that's in the budget. It's money that's calculated into the budget.
In the budget on the expense side, and therefore it's calculated in the 3,313,000 tax.
Yes, yes.
So do we have these equipments in our possession right now?
Yes.
The fact is, when we're on a short leash for a lease. In other words, every year we've got to vote on this. Is that right?
It's according to the ERA, we're following the ERA's requirements
All right.
because they are
It's
leased.
range, isn't it?
Or can it be rewritten so it doesn't have to
It
be?
can be rewritten to possibly come off as a lease and be a loan.
There's people are voting.
Right.
If we get time and effort in these for a year or two, people say, not this year, we're gonna be short-handed.
Yeah, and I'm looking at just the headline, ambulance, and I mean, that's kind of a
We
hot
could
ticket.
put just that no dollar amount and just say that the numbers are included within the budget.
I'm just saying, just how it's structured or written right there, you know, it could be voted against because it's up and down about the ambulance service here.
You can get the notepads out, saying, suddenly without a time.
So can we, we'll have more discussion on this, but could we direct the select board to look at the wording on this?
So should you say no tax impact?
There would only be the tax impact that's calculated within the budget.
So that's uneven, but the article, the warrant article itself,
Could say no additional taxes.
Which last year when it got voted on, there was no impact because the first payment was 2021. So we've already received those 10 mills of tobacco, so if it goes on this year, it's no tax impact.
We include it in the budget as part of our debt service. So the payments are included in the budget
And in the default.
and in the default budget. We just have to get approval from the voters to make the payment this coming year, 2021.
I think the select board needs to discuss this. Seriously.
I know, Andrew has talked with DRA about it. And DRA has a couple different ways that it can be written, so it doesn't have to be voted on every year. If we take the words non-appropriation out of the warrant articles, they can be approved once and that's it. But could be written as a bond or a loan. In that case, we need a higher percentage.
Need a 60% vote.
that's,
The other thing too is the ambulance. It's a pilot type program, so we're only seeing this is gonna work. We
On the ambulance service, yes.
we hope that it continues, but the voters will decide after year 3 that, so.
And it's year 3, and this is a 5-year.
The lease for the ambulance is 5 years.
And if the voters vote no,
After year 3.
after year 3, so we give it 3 years, right? Okay, so we have to get to year 2 and 3. Okay, so the voters, if they voted no on this, it's gonna vote no on this, even if it said no appropriation. What happens? Do we have an ambulance
I think
service?
the ambulance goes back and we'll have to go back and bargain for an ambulance service like we did before.
If they vote no on this, then we, the selectmen would have to make a decision whether they're gonna go out and buy a used ambulance and sell, or if they can't really sell this because it's going back to the company and we lost what we paid them.
Or prioritize the ambulance service.
Yeah, it could be. Sell it to another ambulance service before it goes back, what we have.
So will you guys get back to us? On this, I mean, we're gonna have to weigh all of the.
It seems funny that if we're.
I do. I'm working on it.
I mean, it's need to write it in such a way that
Degrade the cost of the store, but anyhow, we will be discussing it.
well, that may have been a cautionary thing, but we really wanted to fund an ambulance service as a public entity.
Did you ask me?
Yeah, can we jump back up to the first one, the equipment sweeper?
Yes.
You said that that's $115,000 per year for a total of $345,000.
That includes some, interest.
Okay.
I will have better numbers as we get closer to things. This is just an estimate at this point, that's why it's agreeing.
I think Doug Danko, basically, he gave us some number, I don't think we were to, hire that service.
Yes, $20,000 in the spring to come in and clean up the whole darn building from an independent person, which would keep our guys out pointing culverts and doing the other stuff they needed to do. I just think that for the money it costs for a sweeper, there's a lot of $20,000 in there to get it done in the spring. And with the capability of the mechanic we got down there now to keep our sweeper going for a few years, so that if the sand washes across the road or something, that they can just go out and clean it up. I think that this is something I'll look into, is just how to do that particular service out. And it would save, you know, by the time you pay this guy $20,000 a year, and we got equal to what it costs us for a sweeper, our sweeper would have been worn out, and we'd have been on the second. And, you know, look at how many days a year that thing sits. Right now it's put up for the winter. We're still gonna make payments on the sweeper that's up.
Can we see more about what the service, how, you know, what parameters that $20,000 would give us? Is there some kind of estimate, or, I mean, how did you get this number?
I know the guy that does this sweeping for different towns, I spoke to him, and I think he spoke with Danville, and Vanessa, do the whole town. You know, he also has a machine that can come in and suck out all the storm drains for an additional whatever, but it's not anywhere near what it would cost us to buy the equipment.
Could we have something in writing though? I mean, could we direct the selectmen to look into this and request?
You want a motion to that?
Yes.
I think it's a great idea, so I'm gonna support that motion.
Okay.
At least investigate.
Yeah.
Exactly. I want to have something in writing, Roger, and I'm not doubting you.
No, okay.
I'm not doubting you at all. I just want something, because we want to know exactly what parameters of the service would be and how much it would be.
And it would be nice to know that, you know, every town, everyone wants to have their streets clean by Memorial Day or something like that. So this guy, we would give him a schedule so that, you know, we wouldn't be waiting until August to get the ground, you know, swept off. And so that we got timing in, like, it was an in-house operation. We got something that we want to kind of get a feel of, because it's important to, you know, have it taken care of the town.
And I know he does a lot of towns in New Hampshire. He has 3 sweepers. He told me in Littleton in 3 days time to be gone, and everything would be done.
This wouldn't be Paul Weaver, would it?
What's that?
Wouldn't be Paul Weaver.
No, he would do it spring, right after the snow's gone and the sandstorm.
No, it's Paul Weaver.
No,
Okay,
no, it's Avery sweeping, Lincoln, the Woodstock area.
okay.
So, also, if we could find out what the life expectancy is on a sweeper. That would be good to know, balance.
The new sweepers that they're out with, there's, you know, like what we have is all steel inside. So it sets with the salt and it rusts. The new ones are stainless. They don't have quite such a problem with rust.
But if we could figure out what the life expectancy is, I mean, we could kind of weigh it that way, and if it's an investment that we want to move forward with, or if we just want to hire someone to do that for us.
Right.
I think it would
Because
be
it's
good
not
to
only
know.
the money that it costs for the sweepers, the money that runs them. And the tires that wear on it, and the brakes that wear on it, and everything's on it, that you gotta look out for, that every time this guy fires up into the town, all the stuff's on him, the fuel, and everything that goes into it. So there's a lot of stuff that's gonna be added to that sweeper.
Good point.
When we were in our business, there were many discussions like this. Hire old or hire someone. Sometimes hiring is a better proposition, but you gotta value.
And that's all I'm asking for, so if we could get that information.
Yeah, so for 17 years, you can sweep for $20,000 a year.
Okay.
Right now, you're sweep.
Right now.
So,
All right, so if you could,
I'm just throwing that out there because it's
well, I
something.
think it's a great idea. I just want something in writing. We have to have something in writing.
And the selectmen actually have the final decision on all of these warrant articles. So at the select board meeting, when these are being discussed, which should be soon, the best thing to do is to say, this is what I see, and I don't support it like that, or talk about what you just said.
Well, I think, not to, interfere with that, I think that's great, but if we request it in the paperwork gets started, I think, the research gets started, so when you have that meeting, you have that information. Is that, do we take a vote on that? We make a motion. All in favor, say aye.
I'll say,
All right, so we have 5.
Okay,
So we're recording that as 0 yes, if I know.
Is that how we're going to do it?
okay. So we're holding off on the equipment lease too. Because we need to look at how the warrant articles and with, okay. The fire department vehicle equipment lease for a fire truck. I still do not have a quote. When I originally started working on the warrant articles, I threw a number of $1 million, which was gonna be a Cadillac fire truck, and we all know that's not gonna happen. So I dropped my estimate for the first payment. So the first payment would be, if it's $500,000 truck, the first payment, 5 years, would be right around $125,000 plus interest.
Maybe 4 years.
Yeah, 4 years, I'm sorry, 4 years.
Yeah. Any discussion on that?
I'm waiting for additional information from fire department to know more about what the cost is gonna be.
So we look, that is the hard number.
That's not a hard number, it's why it's in green.
So we'll wait.
So is this a lease or is it
The plan was.
a lease to buy? Lease to buy?
Yes,
5 years or 4 years?
4 years. I can try 5 years.
No.
Based on the acting chief told us at our meeting, the current number trucks basically are no good, right? Is that essentially what they told us? Is there really not?
I'm just saying, the numbers aren't hard yet, so she has to go back to the fire chief and get that number, and then we can.
5 years.
I think we ought to ask that question to our new mechanic. It's at the town garage. He's very capable of telling us if that truck is good for a few more years with the snow.
Discussion.
Well, and that's a good point, right? What if we were hearing it from someone who obviously.
I want a new fire truck.
Brand new, right?
It's gonna be shining like the other ones. I'm sorry, but I got a problem with them running them up and down the road, chasing the ambulance, and the way I went out in no time. I really think this mechanic, which is very capable, should look this over and get this selected report on what he sees on this fire.
Sorry, you also running up and down the street, and there's some that get some exercise periodically. I still don't know why that activity should really wear off. I can remember over the years, there was one time when Junior Gang, God rest his soul, was still with us, whatever, and, they had a seating gearbox that somebody was going to redline a piece of code for a seating gearbox. How many seating gearboxes do you see? And how many have ever failed?
Yeah.
Very few. I mean, it's,
I mean, we just got that second engine donated from,
Rogers.
yeah.
So,
I don't know anything about it. I haven't stood under it myself to see what's going on, but,
I think you probably need to ask the mechanic to do that, and so when they have it, and would you come back to us with results?
and I think that he would do this also as well as he's a diesel mechanic, he knows the engines, he knows what Russ does, he knows. I don't know, I mean,
But one thing is now, we should never lose another highway truck or fire truck, or police unit for that matter, to a rusted out frame. That should not happen.
And, you know, they run them on the roads and go back to the firehouse and they wipe down the outsides and everything's still hanging underneath them. And we've had the frame fixed on one. Engine 6, I guess, they fixed the frame on it. And, I asked Bruce the other day if he looked at it. He said, yeah, it's a good job, it's all done good. But when he gets time, he's gonna, you know, take any scale that's on that off it and paint it with the chassis saver, put it back in service. I just think what we've had is a lack of maintenance, good maintenance on a lot of the stuff, and I think we can get that. It'll save us a little bit.
So, we did have our meeting last Thursday, and we have to have probably one more meeting. And I don't know, because we vote, but we also can vote in after the first of the year. We've done that before. You know, so when some of this information goes back, then we can take a look at it. We're gonna have to discuss when our next meeting will be, and to give you guys a timeline as well on some of this information. So, we'll go through this and then we'll look at our meeting schedule.
Why don't we take up this suggestion of you saying we got a good camera? I heard that too. But maybe we don't make a specific recommendation, but we say, please take a look. We'd like to hear because of your new camera. What really does relate to it and what doesn't? Let's see what we have. And can we save some money for the taxpayers at this stage? And he made a recommendation that's this way. It's still the same idea, but it's a different, different vehicle.
I agree, we wanna have them safe out there and you're not. But we don't want to overboard it.
Right.
And I know that they've taken the other truck that went out of service to one of the companies that repaired it, and they had a grocery list on it of things that were wrong with it, and they gave up. Now, if I was selling fire trucks, that's what I'd do. You know what I mean? You give them a grocery list and say, boy, I'd like to say, no, this thing isn't safe, and they fell for it.
So we may not be experts to say what to do exactly, but asking them to say what would be a better idea to repair and the right thing to do.
Do you want to put that in actually to a recommendation to have town and discuss the condition? Do you want to go down?
Okay, so the major pieces of equipment that we're, let's get a new recommendation by our maintenance chief for what we could, in priority, put off as a warrant article and make do by the
Is there a second?
Sorry.
I don't turn the knives and fire, but I think that this may be a year cut back a little bit for people.
Well, it's just good to reassess. We have a maintenance, chief, so to speak now, and so it's all in favor, say aye.
I need to know who's second.
Dan. I see you too,
Well,
Dan.
Put me in there.
Okay, and it was a 5-0.
0 yes, 5 no.
Is it 5-0?
Well, we're just making a recommendation to
Yeah.
come back with some,
It's a recommendation, so 5 yes and 0 no. Recommendation.
For both of those.
Right.
so.
All right, the next one was parking lot improvements. And this is a number at this point that Andy gave me, I'm not sure exactly what parking lots is talking about, or if it's all of them. $150,000.
Well, this was on the warrant article, was it last year or the year before, but, obviously nothing came of it because of COVID and because.
Well, there was, one for 60,000 that has been encumbered. There's one for 10,000 that's been encumbered. They'll be considered warrant articles. A couple of years ago, there was a warrant article, and part of that was expended to get some of the property up, up past Jack's here, up in that area.
Jeremiah.
Yeah, Jeremiah's. I remember Jeremiah's.
Some people there couldn't even,
He has an obligation, with some of the leases to make some of the parcels that, he won't maintain that. Change.
You don't know exactly how many parking lots, if it's all of them, or if they're gonna do a little at a time. But at this point, the number that was given me was 150,000.
is part of this have to do with the property on the other side of the pedestrian bridge?
I'll answer that.
I don't think so, because I didn't think they were planning on any parking lots or anything just yet.
You're talking on Riverside?
Yeah, the wrong one.
The other side, the other side is, the other side of Sarah.
Oh, inside.
The river, the other side.
Yes.
Yeah,
The
but
wrong
this-
property, we call it, it's on the bridge.
This does not.
So this is the parking lot behind Jack Junior, the parking lot behind, Asoma Bank, maybe.
Part of the issue behind Jack Junior is we've been trying to find somebody that would either tear the building down or because we don't want to duplicate efforts. If somebody came to Andrew tomorrow and said, I want the building, I'll tear it down, then I think we'd have the freedom to be able to go through to repair the parking lot plus restripe it. Because I think there's an additional, and I don't know where they're getting this from, but additional 16 parking spots out there. So it's a good amount of space, but I don't think we want to duplicate the effort. Or jump the gun and then have to re-go and redo it.
I am, total is 54,000 just to tear down that building.
If they found anybody willing to do it.
It's
So
too close.
close to those other buildings, so nobody wants to touch it.
They need insurance.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on this?
My thought in general, I think it's nice to support the parking lot plan, whether we're doing this for a specific purpose or whether this ends up being coverage out of a larger pot, anyway. But it's my thought is supporting, we certainly need to get our parking lot situation. I mean, thank God, I mean, there's demand on Main Street that needs parking lots to support it. So,
Parking is a problem.
here, here. That's the good, I feel, on the side of it. It's,
Yeah.
you know, we have to do it. It's a bit of a walk, same road, so.
Yeah.
So, are we ready to take a vote on this warrant article to approve?
I make a motion to support number 14.
Also, I have just one question, will this yield any additional parking? Or is it
It's
just
just improvements at this
pavement, striping, that kind of stuff?
And potentially more lighting. I know we're not behind Jack's Junior, but it's not. So I think that was the original intention, but with that, it's a little bit challenging.
So we have a motion and a second, all in favor of supporting warrant article 14 for the parking lot improvements of 150,000, say aye. Any opposed? 5 yes.
Karen, Andrew just gave you the job on the way. He didn't get into specifics at all. Is that what you're talking about? I'm just wondering, how you come up with this? If he's got a percentage or something like that, worse than others. I would almost like to see it. I mean, I know we're on the road or whatever, so I think I'd like to see it where we take care of the priorities, and if it was just 20,000 a year. But I don't know what his thinking is.
Why don't you bring that back to us on the next meeting?
And who said that, yeah? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. The Masters is secret.
The Opera House, 15,000.
Yes, this is just to continue on with some of the projects, some of the things that they're trying to take care of, a little bit at a time. I know that they want to do something with the floor off the stage, level it out, you know, fix it up with one item. I know that she's talked about redoing these floors, and it's been back and forth on what the floors they have done to them. The rigging, the speaker system, that project should be done this year. And it has cost a little more than what they originally expected. So they've been using the warrant articles to help pay for the additional cost of those kind of items.
Any questions?
They're doing a great job. I mean, we're getting pretty good bang for relatively short dollars. If you look at our building, for those who were here before this was redone, we've come a long way.
15,000 is the lot to keep this building.
They have 10 in their budget, but they have this other in case they can go further with it. And I know there's always an effort to get grants to help match some of the funds.
I like what they're doing, I want to sort of do it. One thing that I just wonder a little bit about, they have a plan, a horizon of 3 to 5 years, is what we're trying to accomplish over this time, so that we could just get an idea of how long do they keep coming back and asking
I think there's a new director now, and we could request that, and I think there's a committee, is it, or is there commissioners, and, you're not on that, you are, what is it?
Well, we haven't met because of the situation with COVID and all for quite some time, but there was, we had before, there was a full-time director, we had a plan, seeing some of the things come to light now, which, the sound system, big and some lighting and all of that, and, some of the longer term things we did mention before, you said, and what Diane said, that we would do, answer a board conference. That's something that you should be able to put together. And, but of course, with an old building like this, you're always going to have unexpected maintenance needs. And I think we talked about the parapet on the roof, how that needs a paint job, but I guess the thing is, it's quite expensive. No one wants to touch it until they have to. It's a good idea what you're saying for the long term, but yeah, the age of this and in terms of who we have as mentors and what are the things that are going to be in place before it's all comes into play. And kind of money's the water, but
The commissioners actually were charged with more spending than they were the whole building. Just when they originally were, put in place, they were more amenities.
Well, I think the venue piece, understanding that, and the funding that probably does require, you can't hire entertainers if you don't have any money to pay them, to get the ball rolling. And, I hope next year, that in the cards, you can't be a colonial theater, you can't be all of that without some money, you know, and
You know, facility that's what you would expect to come to pay money. I think we get obviously to that point.
so if this is more for the structural and maintenance, you know, I think we need to continue on with that. I don't want to slip on ring, we want to just do that. So do I hear any other comments about this, and do I have a motion to support Articles 15 for continued improvements at the opera house for $15,000?
I think that was.
Steve and John. Okay, all in favor? You didn't vote. Aye, so, okay, so we have 4.
How much are we trying to get the paint outside perimeter? Was there how much are they trying to get to do the paint outside?
Well, they had a, I talked to Chad, earlier this year, or meetings, they really haven't got the estimate of that, but, we really should work with this quite expensive.
Yeah.
It's hard to
Some
find
of
it.
us need money.
Because of the money, the rate on this side,
But what price did they get as an offer?
and that has.
So they got that, you got this floor here, and you got that stage that's gonna be like 15,000. Easy.
Could very easily, yes.
Oh, it's definitely.
I heard 8.
So you got 8 right here, then you got that stage, then you got that paint. The paint runs cheap.
But the flooring though, this is from the old high school, or our high school, this flooring here they put in, they've already seen the bathroom tiles, and they're concerned about how much.
It's improved, yeah.
So you're saying that heating is going to come in another.
Yeah, that is like.
Oh, that's not part of it. I was gonna say, okay, that would be all, anyways.
4, yes, I understand. Transfer station,
Okay, they have funds in their fund balance, but they don't have enough funds to do everything they want to do. They want to get scale in here, which I understood the scale was very expensive. I can't remember exactly what Brian said, but guessing that it was around 75,000 for a good truck scale. And that way they could get better weightings of what goes in and what goes out, so the charges are more realistic and the receipt back is actual versus just a guess. The plan in this warrant article is whatever is expended from the taxpayers will be matched by funds from their fund balance to buy or purchase anything that they're going to purchase.
how much do they have in the fund balance?
Rough estimate about $85,000.
Or do we have this discussion at the transfer?
Yeah,
You were there that day.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned that, you know, how big a scale, if you, I don't know how much scale is very priced, but if you could get a full-size scale that you would track the trailer, I think that would have value if we were going forward. It would have to be a full-fledged deal that you could weigh stuff for other people. I mean, if people.
well, if the facility gets shut down and we end up trucking our stuff somewhere else, it's gonna go by weight, so we need an actual figure of tractor trailer.
And you might even be able to solicit some outside business people who might need to have trailer weight or whatever, or something. And I know Brian had expressed some concern about footprint size. You have to try to range so it was in such a way that somebody could drive
In and out, yeah.
and out, but I know obviously the logging business there's a market for that. And I know my son, he was hauling some stuff to the port down in Boston, and they were actually stopping somewhere down there, west of Concord, one of those log yards, I don't know which HHP or something, whatever, but they would actually go in there and get it weighed just so that they had a certificate, so they knew when they got to Boston, it's a little different situation, I prefer to have that here or not, but, you know, there may be a market for that. In other words, if the steel Brian was looking at is gonna be $200,000, and we can get the full-fledged deal for $250, I think it'd be, you know, we should get the full deal and have that over with, and figure it will serve us on anything we have to meet in.
Obviously, there's going to be infrastructure costs in order to install the scale, and it should be maybe not as much as the scale, but the construction cycle is not insignificant either.
So do we need more information on this?
Just for future. You know, it's after good work, so we have to try stuff to have it's like scale, like you're saying.
I certainly would look at that, and I know he was concerned about where, and I don't know enough about the layout there, you know, how much room they have to work with, but
We talked about that as you drive in down back and you go through behind where they keep all the bins and cans and bottles. Off to the right-hand side of the road that we go in, there's space in there that they could do a little bit of work on, put a full scale in there. And then wherever, when they come off the scale, they just have to go around just like if you're going to go and drop off your trash.
Could they exit, not drive all the way around, go where the steel machine is in, swing up the hill, and go straight up to my uses road instead of going all the way around the building?
I mean, that was what we talked about, is when you come out from after they drop your trash, it's not a tight corner for tractor trailer to make it. So rather they, you know, how they vote, if they come in the other way. But with that road that they just put it out back, where we used to have all the glass and everything, this room out there makes something work to get back out on the loop. If it was just set down and planned out. Plenty of room, I think.
So why do you guys think you need a full-size scale?
Because some of it, eventually we're gonna get shut down, we're gonna transport all of our.
No, I'm saying like versus an axle scale, because we use an axle scale for 20 years. We put the front axle on, grade it, drive axles, then the trailer axles, and it worked fine for 20 years. And then the other thing you have to think about too, when you have a full-size scale, like you're driving a tractor trailer, if you drive on that and hit your brakes and stuff, that's gonna ruin that scale. So they have to have 75 feet to do a full axle scale. If you got a 53-foot trailer and a 22-foot tractor, it comes out to roughly 75 feet full length. So that's a lot of space.
You know, we talk about going and jumping the brakes, so what you see on the news, have all hydraulics, and they come off the table. And once in a while, just release the table, you can lock it back on. So, new technology on some of this stuff is good. You know, we can go on and just get the scale right out, right, and try to get those guys out on those individual scales. When they have other things to do there. I see what you're saying.
I'm just thinking about it because it's a lot more money versus doing a single axis scale, and you don't get all the space with a single axis scale. And it's $12 to scale up if there was a scale house around here. So it's like, how many times are they going to use it in a year? It's kind of like that street sweeper thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I just said if we get into the point where we're trucking trash every day, I would.
Oh, then, yeah, if you're trying every day, it's definitely better.
You know, when they take a photo of the cans out, just put that right where it's yes.
Yeah.
So do you need a scale this week? I'm trying to figure out, because we're trying to guess whether or not the facility's gonna be shut down, and we're trying to, you know, the timeline here.
Right, and it's supposed to be 3-year timeline to sell right now. So it's coming up quick. And we have to truck it somewhere. Right now, just gonna pump up, you know, we're gonna be prepared. Rather than put something in, we say, we should have bigger work, because the bigger trucks are coming in, because there's more And this, one was talking about a community place where at one time we're visiting with Granite National, we're thinking about Littleton and how we don't know what's going to happen with something to the site. And so you kind of wonder if a bigger, full-size field would be better. Just to find the price difference.
You know, I guess at the very least, I'd get a price of what Brian's thinking about, and have him get a price of the full-fledged deal, and then.
Yeah.
We shouldn't forget, I like the idea, because I think it's a potential revenue source on, against transportation expenses, I don't know. But I think, I'm always one to, let's do it, let's do it right. And I think, John pointed out, quite right, you should know a lot of site work too, not just the equipment itself. So you gotta get all of that into what's the cost to do it right, and then you get the access and egress and all of that stuff too.
And that's why I was asking about the timeline, like, let's find out some information and, after, instead of coming back to the taxpayers next year for site work.
Do we have, I couldn't hear that well, do we have to do it now, or could we live through another year and then do it? I know the seller's getting, put pressure on us.
I don't know if we can go another year without the steel, but right now it's a guessing game. And I know the price of, like, scrap steel's gone up 3 cents in the last few weeks, from 2 cents to 5 cents a pound. It's not a lot, but if you're guessing at how much weight is on that truck, you're losing or you're gaining,
How fast can Brian do some work
and it'd be nice to know where we at.
and get some information?
A little key, a little
Yeah.
And we have Brian come back to us next time, and answer some of those questions, and if he's been able to kind of research the information that we're talking about, will give us a better idea of what we need to address this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could help.
Price it out, figure it out.
So Brian, so it's, okay, Brian will come back next time.
Okay. All right, we do have, MOA on our third party agreement, it hasn't been offered yet, but it will be, and my high estimate, this is for, position of mechanic, my high estimate is 6,000. But I believe that's extremely high compared to what it's gonna end up costing. But I have to factor everything in and get paperwork together with the attorneys. This is just a rate change on the wage scale for the mechanic only.
So do you want to wait on this?
If you are supportive of 6,000 or less, I think at least I can put on there, the board has, or the other city has approved or not, and get that done. Just to keep moving forward on all of this.
I mean,
All of it,
Roger, I think you're already feeling good about that situation, I mean, upgrading that position.
Yeah.
So we have a motion put forward by John and seconded by Steve. Any other discussion? All in favor of supporting this? So 5-0. It's 10 up, Karen. Just looking ahead for one more meeting at least. We would have to go through the operating budget and handout to see if there are any recommendations, so we can discuss those. You can also forward any questions that you have to me on that, and then Karen would have the information ready for us. So we'll go through that, and then we have to go through the rest of the warrant articles. We had presentations tonight, so that took maybe like 45 minutes, 50 minutes. So I'm thinking that we would be pretty good on our meeting, at least. And if we need another one, we'll bite the bullet and have another one. So, I'm just looking at, because we missed Thursday's meeting, and I already talked to Karen to see what her availability is for next week, so we don't carry too much over into the new year. She's available, and this is available on the 29th, right? And you have a select board meeting on the 28th. So would the 29th be okay for everybody? That is a Tuesday.
Works for me.
Is that okay with every shade? Does that work?
And for that day.
Okay. Okay. So we will, 4 o'clock on the 29th will be our next meeting.
And where do we stand with the school?
They are, I don't know yet. We're supposed to have a big meeting tonight, big count-out. And part of that, board meeting will be discussing the type of school, if it's hybrid, if it's totally online, or if it's all at the school. We're discussing that for after January 4th when we go back. So I will follow up with the superintendent, because they were supposed to be discussing what we recommended tonight at the meeting.
So you haven't heard anything, all our questions about, consider it.
But I will definitely follow up and take it from there. Any suggestions on a meeting to discuss all of that? I think we pretty much are. The one thing I would like to have you look at, if I can just jump a little bit to the school, if you don't mind. Over the years, we have looked at the amount of monies that they have, the undesignated fund balance at the end of the year, and they have an average of 500,000 each year. And I always have said, why 500,000? And someone might say, with that size of a budget, that isn't very much, but it is always at least 500,000. So I always used to say, up your revenues a little bit, lower your estimates on your expenses, because he's very conservative on his revenues. I mean, like, uber conservative. And he maximizes the expenses. But what happens is that you are now taxing the taxpayers for that. I don't know how you all feel about that, but I think we should be able to ask them to consider at least 100,000 of that to defray what we're asking the taxpayers.
How much do they have now in fund balance? I added it up, it's over 800,000.
Over 800, what happens is they have over 800,000 there. They retain 200,000. So they have $1 million there, and then they're going into a new budget, right?
Yeah.
And that 200,000 would be determined in June again. Okay. But they have 500, they usually have 500,000 unexpected. So I said, why give it back to us at that time? Just don't collect it from us, you know?
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
so I don't know, think about it. I think we need to go back to the sheets that they have it, it's all written down. He basically gave us a spreadsheet on that. Tell me what you think, because mine collected it, it just,
There were two things. One, they are supposed to, they and everyone else said, they're supposed to look at a UJM fund and see what, if anything, they have in their budget
right.
that should qualify, that they could, fuel reserve, that certainly we have to have, so, I agree that we shouldn't touch the special ed, because that's a big item. Obviously, building repairs, they use some of that, bringing themselves to bear. The big question in my mind is that 661,000 is less state aid. And it obviously be a difficult thing to hold them to it, but if we were, whatever figure we were to support, with a caveat that by whatever amount that shortfall in state aid is reduced, that amount of money is returned to the taxpayer. That money, whatever that is, it ends up being $200,000 shortfall at $41,000. Now, I don't know how you follow up on that, make sure that they do it, or just, they agree verbally, and then make sure it's already remembered that's what they said. But I mean, that's a huge amount.
Well, we can make that a motion and discuss it when we have a follow-up meeting for approving the budget and approving the warrant articles. So we're here on Tuesday. If we're here on Tuesday, the 29th, I would have to see when they can meet with us, and I'm assuming it probably wouldn't be until after the year just because of the holidays. Everyone's like scattered. So that probably would be maybe 4th, 5th, or 6th. The 4th, 5th, or 6th of January, just the way the holidays fall, and the vacation falls, and our time on 29th, we have a meeting on the 29th. So it's just kind of, I'll see what they have available, so it might be 4th, 5th, or 6th on that.
We know we're here next week.
But we're gonna meet here next Tuesday at 4 o'clock. I may or may not be here on the 4th, 5th, and 6th. So, I may be.
Is there pressure in the dollars?
So, it's like, oh. So anyways, we'll take it from there. I'll contact the school because we're supposed to be discussing it tonight. So we'll see what the follow-up is. Are there any other questions?
I'll make a motion to stay later before you leave, that we'll allow them to come back.
We can stay late on Tuesday if we have to. So,
I am available in January, and I have a couple days if you want to hear what they are.
sure.
Thursday the 7th. I don't know exactly what days the selectmen have meetings, in January, because I haven't looked. I'm available Monday the 11th. And I could be here the 14th, but it would be later.
Yeah, I think they probably want to wrap it up either this, by the end of this month, and they'll probably not much later than that. Eat hard before you come to next Tuesday, so you're not starving, making really great decisions. They'll stay late if they have to.
New director should be here, so I'll have to email her. She's on the 29th.
I'm gonna,
So I'm gonna ask her.
That would be great. Do I have a motion to adjourn?